Okay, so I'm going to start with XAU. I'm going to combine it with my next week review. I'm going to be looking at the trades that I took last week. Actually, on XAU, I had one swing, and this was the swing right here, right here. So my thought process behind that trade, very simple as usual. Um, Starting from the daily in general, right? Let's look at the week. So as at last week, this was last week, right here. Right here, this was last week, right? So, we've spoken about building bias a number of times. Building bias with liquidity is one of the ways, and building bias with key levels is another way, right? So you can see that you can combine both of them on this particular one, where we have the sweep of the previous week's high, the low clearly still standing till date, which is my draw on liquidity and why I'm still overall bearish till this low goes on gold. And so previous week, which was in June, this was the first week in July. This was last week, right? This is where last week opened. Last week opened here. So the week before last, this is how it closed. It closed right here. This week opened, right? So going to the daily, for my particular trade, I think it was somewhere around here. I can't remember. But still building our bias from the daily, we can see here, this is yet another breakout to the downside, confirming our weekly bias is bearish. So what happened last week? So this was Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Monday, Tuesday rather, and then Monday, right? So Monday had this big drop. So Monday again reconfirmed our bearish bias, right? So we had this sell on Monday. I don't know if I took any sell in that zone, but this is the level where I'm going to be continuing my review. On Tuesday, I believe we had Tuesday we had CPI, and Wednesday or so we had PPI. Coming down to the 4 hours, after that daily breakout, we have another breakout here to the downside on the 4 hours also again, even though our bias is confirmed already. We had yet another breakout. So anywhere from here, we are able to look for shorts, right? Even from here, this already looks like my own personal entry model, right? From here, from this 4 hour sweep, looks very good. If I drop down to the 1 hour, I should be able to see some entries that will take me down. Let me see if there was anything. This was another sweep right here. 30 minutes, was there anything? Okay, nothing clean. I don't think I took any of these trades. My main trade came after price delivered from CPI. So there was a very huge buy for CPI. There was a very huge buy for CPI one of those days. Left us this high right here after it swept liquidity. But again, price delivered all the way down, to this zone. And then it gave us, I think this was even the CPI buy, I'm not sure. Wednesday, and then Thursday. Yeah, this is Wednesday here. Points being, I remember the first buy was, this was it. CPI gave us this one, this particular high. Price sold back down here. Then there was another, I think it was right here that there was PPI, and then this was it. This was the buy. My own personal entry, what I got and how I got into this particular trade, this one, this one? Yeah, it was this one. It's this key level right here. Don't forget, we've moved from weekly to 4 hours and down to this 1 hour, giving me my own entry. Right? So I had this zone marked out, right? Very, I don't know, since the beginning of after this huge buy, I had this zone. I was expecting that price will come back. So yes, I remember very well. This was CPI. Price came back down here. On Wednesday, there was PPI, and price delivered here to our this sell zone, right? So this is a clean QM. There is a logic behind this. You don't just pick any QM just like that, but there is logic behind that that particular entry, right? So for me, I think it was like a 3+R trade. And one thing I made a mistake with was I jumped into the trade somewhere here. I looked at price action, and I know that most times when it's news, once there's a spike, it might not come back, right? So that was a mistake I made on that particular trade, but it was close enough, to my main entry. So even though it was breaking a rule, but I guess this time it played out, but next time clearly shouldn't, because it was actually my entry was engineered liquidity. Anyway, price tapped in, and over the course of, I think, a couple of days, we hit target somewhere here at some points, right? So that was it. My outlook for next week is simple. I'm expecting buys for the beginning of the week. I'm still expecting short buys for the beginning of the week. So if we are building our buyers from the daily, have this previous daily high, the daily low, swept, the high still standing. Let me check the group chat if there is any message. Okay, anyways, the high is still standing, right? But don't forget, we are in a bearish market, right? If you look to my right, you can see that there has been a previous weekly high that was swept. The low is still standing. So this is currently my draw on liquidity for the weekly, right? So even if price doesn't get up here, what I'll be looking for is that this previous daily high should go. I'll be expecting that, the previous weekly high should go.
That reduces cholesterol. Alpha-1 in Asia and golden Terra, smart balance oil in Africa help reduce cholesterol. Heart healthy oil, the smart.
Check. Do we have anything in the chat? Sharks, I beg. I'm not sharks, so I'm not sharks, I beg. Totally different guy. Anyways, yeah, so this previous week did where is it? Yeah, this is going to be our previous daily high. My expectation is that I would have that sweep, and then I would have something to do down here on Tuesday, Wednesday, especially like on Tuesday or evening of Monday. But in the short run, if we are building our buyers from the daily, we can expect some buys because we have that previous daily low taken, and then the low still standing. We have a 4-hour breakup structure. So for short term, what we can also expect is this low will go as our liquidity tap into somewhere in this zone, and then let's see, buying up to at least this nearest liquidity, somewhere around here, right? Should be expecting buys. That's if this low goes tap in here. There is also the extreme scenario where if you go down to the 1 hour where I like to take my QMs, you can also see something like this. So it depends on how deep the retracement is. So if you're taking confirmation entries, that would be the best thing. So price can come all the way down here to this QM and take the buy. This would be a much cleaner buy, at least this QM again, right? At least to this QM. So if you take it to this QM, because I'll be looking at this high, anywhere from this high as liquidity, or a sell all the way back down. But again, everything depends on what the market actually prints for us. What with confirmation, there's nothing I say here happens. It's just an expectation, right? So I know a lot of us here already know about bias and whatnot. I might want to, if you guys say part of the Q&A, I go over it, I will. So that's all for me on gold. I'm going to quickly move to reviewing GER40. And after that, you can begin to drop questions if we have. my expectation also, I'll share what I have for German 40. Very interestingly, we had a range in markets on German 40 more or less throughout the week. I had this one since, but it didn't trigger. Anyways, all right, so let me start my analysis again. Thought process all the way from the weekly. I think I can do weekly. So for a while now, I had one expectation here. Immediately I had this is building again with liquidity. I had this previous weekly high taken, low still standing till date, which means it's still my draw on liquidity to a fair degree. The daily break of structure, the first proper daily break of structure happened here, right? And so that's when my own buys, somewhat started. That's where my own sales, rather, my analysis for sales started. After I saw this, in fact, there was no daily break of structure. I'm just looking at it that it happened much later. So, but I had seen multiple break of structures on the 4 hours all the way down. But on the daily, I had still looking at this extreme imbalance. If I were to build my bias from the daily using liquidity, I'm looking at this extreme imbalance. I'm looking at this candle. This candle for me, you need to pay attention to candles like this, inside bar candles. They don't make any decisions, but they are liquidity points, right? So if price sweeps the high, it means you should be expecting a sell. If it sweeps the high and closes inside, and you're in this bearish scenario, you can expect that the low will go, right? So after this, previous daily high was swept, go down to the 4 hours, there was a break of structure to the downside, right? Right here, a break of structure on the 4 hours to the downside. So that's where my analysis started from. I had a QM, I think, on the 1 hour. So for my first entry, yeah, I think, yeah, this was the QM I selected. It has been tested once, but I still reused it because of that, my bias of the previous daily high, right? So price triggered and still gave me a 1 hour confirmation entry. I took it all the way down for, yeah, I was targeting this open close because I wasn't really sure if price would return from this, because a previous daily high had also been swept, if I'm not mistaken. This one also swept previous daily low rather. Anyways, my target wasn't this end initially. It was just this open close for my own personal reasons, because this could have been a demand. I was looking at this sweep here. It's very dangerous because this, after price will sweep here and still go back up again, if it's coming back down, you cannot guarantee that it will tap here because this has swept liquidity. Anyway, that was why I targeted that zone. Then the sell that we danced around in was the same thought process on the daily. I had my on the daily, yes, I had a previous daily high swept yet again. So what's very important is that you're able to yeah, is that you're able to mark out your drawn liquidity. So most times they say don't trade a ranging market, right? But if you are clear on what your drawn liquidity is and you are clear on your overall structure, there are things that you can still play around, right? So in here, I had this as a previous daily high that was swept. I had this 4 hour break of structure to the downside. And if you remember, I was expecting that price would come up to this QM. Yeah, I hope there are not too many lines. I was expecting price would come up to this QM before sell, but it didn't. It was ranging. Immediately, I saw a reaction from a 4 hour liquidity that was swept at a key time. I didn't just make that decision because I saw there was a 4 hour, liquidity. Price could have still used us overall as liquidity, but it decided not to. I saw this 4 hour sweep at a key time. It was, I think, 2 a.m. Nigerian time. So in New York session, if you add, so like around this was, if you add 5 hours to this, that's 1400, which is 2 a.m. So this sweep happened by 2 a.m. And that's why I was able to change my bias and say that I would take this, 4 hour as my new entry. And we were looking for a 1 hour engulfing to complete our entry model. There was one here, but I still covered this high. I covered at least another key level. So that's why my stop loss was not above just this zone. I tried to cover at least another key level. So that's why, again, we weren't stopped out. But I was even happy after this range was taken because, again, and there was a closure. That was an indication, that we will still sell. So after this engulfing, we were able to take the sell down. And it was as simple as that, even though it ranged for a lot. But our drawn liquidity was still clear, and it was here, the previous day's low. Eventually, it hit the target, even though I closed somewhere here because of the ranging markets. I wanted to target the closest liquidity point. Currently, my expectation is, so we are currently reacting from this key level right here, this weekly key level. We're currently reacting from it. We have a tap, a rejection, and a closure. On the daily, we have, again, a previous daily high, low swept, low still standing. We have a 4-hour break of structure on German 30. Let me show you. We'll come back. Let me not use this one. Let me use this one. I think we are done with XAU. All right, so on German 30, we actually have a break of structure on 4 hours right here. We have a break of structure here. So if you were to follow this, you have a storyline for the daily, actually, but I'm not following that currently. I'm going to be waiting to see what will happen, but they are short-term. You can risk a short-term buy if you want, but I'm not going to trade on Monday. I'm not going to trade on Monday, especially on this German 40, because, again, let me just complete my analysis. We still have this key level indicating that we are bearish, and we still have this weekly draw on liquidity. As I said, there was a sweep of the previous weekly high, and the low is still standing. So where is that low? Yeah, this one. Even this one should go. If you pay attention to structure also, you see that we've not had a proper sweep of liquidity yet, right? This was the low, apparently, that broke structure here. This was this low, broke structure here. So all these zones are, if you use SMC lingo, that this is like a whole demand zone, right? So what we'll be expecting, structurally, that we'll see some sort of a proper sweep of liquidity. That's why I'm still going to be bearish, more or less till I see a proper break of structure, at least maybe on the 4 hours that is a real break of structure. Then I can decide to buy. So something like here would be a nice break of structure. Let's check the line charts. Yeah, that should be, because it's the high that created this low. So if it goes, then we should expect some more buys. On the monthly, we're actually bullish, if I'm not mistaken. On the monthly, we are bullish on German 40. Like overall structure, we are bullish. But again, even on the monthly, we have a sweep of this previous month's high and a lot of lows still standing. Wow. We have all this to go. I apologize. We are clearly still fully bearish for this range. So anyways, yeah, we are still fully bearish. So even this low I was expecting to go is still a small target. We can still expect some more sells because again, structurally, look here. This was where our sweep was. This was where this low created this high. Then we had a break of structure on the weekly here. Right. So all this actually were in they are all internal structures. They are all internals that led to this break of structure. So it means that we still have possibilities of deeper retracements before a proper buy. So again, that structure, we're adding to liquidity. So for next week, for me, I'll just be looking for, a couple of buys, tiny buys, just to fulfill this, similar to gold, just to fulfill this range a bit, coming to somewhere around this zone, and then should see some more sells on Tuesday. Again, I want this high to go. That's what will be nice for me. And then something around here, I'll be looking for more shorts down for German 40. The only thing missing for me is just clear imbalances. There are not too many imbalances because of the range. So that's the only thing missing from me, but I'll still be looking for sells. So that's it for me. I think very soon we'll just be taking Q&As. Let me see if there's anything on BTC. Yeah. So we're looking at, the possibility of BTC actually selling properly as we've been expecting. Although, like looking at it from the daily, we have this break of structure to the upside. We had this, liquidity taken from previous daily low high, and then we've been expecting that at least we have a sell here to this zone, but nothing solid has happened. We are still looking like some people have bias for buys, especially because of this range, this daily range that is yet to be fulfilled for buys from here, which, expecting that maybe this higher go. But for me, I'll be expecting that if today closes within this range, you should expect that, there should be some more sells. There should be some more sells. Because this actually gave us a break of structure on the 4 hours to the downside. So on daily, we have the sweep of the daily high, previous daily high, 4 hour break of structure to the downside. So we can also still expect it. I've said it before, if you are seeing two different biases on the same pair, you can leave it, right? You can leave it till it's clear. What would be nice is if price actually comes back down to break this 4 hour low, this 4 hour key level, and then that's an indication that, we are out for solid sells. Another thing would be on the weekly, if we're actually able to close inside of this range, that will indicate that, there is still some sells, more indication for sells. On the weekly, again, someone pointed this out, that this liquidity wasn't taken and that range was not completed, this range. And it's very valid because it's liquidity and it must actually go at some point. Especially the liquidity might not, well, it should go at some point, might not be now, especially depending on what happens here. So by the close of today, and that's why I said tomorrow I can engage and there will be some refinements after today closes. So if today closes, this stop loss can be reduced. Can be reduced to something more reasonable. This is just like a swing outlook. So that's it for me on BTC. So this trade, still the same thought process. Still the same thought process. I think I took it from the daily still. I think I took this BTC from the daily because of this same building bias with liquidity. Previous daily high was taken, and I was also still monitoring this previous weekly high that was also taken. I was monitoring it at the same time, indicating that at least we should go for this weekly low, even if it doesn't get to this weekly. This was a bit more certain, if not because of this reversal, right? There was no clear reason why it reversed. I can't remember if there was news or something, but there was no clear reason. Point being, I'm still expecting that this low will go. This range, this one here is actually still within our old range. Both the liquidity, the primary draw on liquidity and the secondary are still within this range. So it's still healthy to think or to logically assume that price will get here. So let's just wait and see at the close of today in the next 4 or 5 hours, 6 hours, 30 minutes for the close of the week. So we can go into Q&As. We can go into Q&As. If there are questions, let's, okay.
Night, you not get 15K, not fit this up.
I can't hear you. Are there questions? There's any question? I don't know what this one is going to do, but let's see. This was VIX 25, this swing sell. I can't really hear you. I don't know if someone is speaking. Is anybody speaking? Let me come and check the charts if there are any questions in the charts. Okay, there are no questions in the chat, right? Okay, so are there any questions? Is there any questions so far? Anything that you know?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Please go ahead.
Okay, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, please.
Can you hear me, sir?
I can hear you perfectly.
Okay. Sir, about bias, actually.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you do when you are confused about bias? Like, maybe you have, let's say, a bearish breakout to the downside. And by the next day, you now have a buy breakout. So what do you do then, sir?
So that's it. I mentioned the same thing on BTC. That's currently what's happening somewhat on BTC. The two things I'm going to be paying attention to is the overall structure, right? Overall, structurally, currently, we are bearish, right? So you see clearly, this is a range, but like we are bearish on the higher time frames. Like we are bearish on the higher time frame. We don't clearly have a break of structure to the upside. So you can always go one time frame higher or 2 time frames higher to see what the overall structure is saying. Because again, weekly will supersede the daily. So for me, and that's why I'm still somewhat more inclined towards sells, right? I'm still inclined towards sell. So I'm going to sit on my hands for a while till I get something clear for my, for my bias on the daily. But overall, see, if you don't want to risk it, leave it. That's why you would have enough pairs on your watch list. I personally have like enough for me for indices, commodities, I have them, and my futures, right? So if this one is doing somehow, let me go to XAU if XAU is clear. If German 40 is clearer, let me go there. Japan 225 is clearer, I will go there. I would not die on one hill because, if it's confusing, the best thing is leave it. So, but more often than not, this thing can happen. This is an example, right? So you need to just go one time frame higher, check what the overall structure is, make sure that it's still in line. Let's say this one, for instance, like you see that we have this structurally, by liquidity, we have this, but we also still have this. But this one is the one that is currently in line with our on our higher time frame bias. So that's why I'm still sticking with this one for now. So you have 2 options. Go one time frame higher, check what the superseding time frame is saying, do that, or leave it.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that, sir.
Welcome.
And I want to ask too, sir.
Okay.
Are you more of an aggressive trader or a conservative one? Because I noticed that German 40 trade, the current one you are on,
I'm not on
I
anyone.
think that current buy,
I didn't take it. It's just me studying.
on German 40. Okay, you didn't take it. Okay,
I
okay.
didn't take it. I'm studying. I
All right,
was
so
just
that's what I
studying the
wanted to ask.
structure. I didn't take it. This
Okay,
buy
sir.
is coming from a weekly level. I was just studying price action. I didn't take the buy. If you see, yeah, I didn't take the buy. It
Because
was
I,
starting from here. And then the daily was giving me this. There was no way I would have taken it because there was no confirmation. But I was just studying, the structure and why it was buying from that zone. So if you go to the 1 hour, after that the liquidity was taken, price came back. Let me see which one of them he used. So there was a sweep of this. Yeah, there was this sweep of this previous. There was this sweep of liquidity right here, and it tapped into a weekly demand. I already showed that weekly demand zone, right? And that key level.
yes, yes.
That's yeah. So I was just watching to see what price was doing. I didn't take it. And just to answer your question, I do
Okay,
both.
sir.
But mostly I take 1 hour confirmations. Most times I take 1 hour confirmations. 1 hour is my go-to
All right, sir.
time.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think most of us are gurus. Let me check. Okay, do you consider fresh or unfresh key levels? I consider both. I don't really know why some people. So if you're taking like your trade, your most recent trade, it's nice if you have if you have a fresh key level, it's nice, right? But rarely can you say, well, it happens, right? So I take both. Let me just answer directly. On gold, you see a lot of those type of uh, key levels. Gold will give you a lot of fresh key levels. So let me check the 4 hours. So you can take actually from mostly the fresh key levels if that's what you'd like to do. So this is an example. This been tapped, hasn't been tapped, right? So this is a fresh key level, fresh 4 hour key level, depending on where you're even selling it from, right? So, but yeah, I take both. Mostly, I just need liquidity. I don't really care whether it's fresh or unfresh. Just if there's liquidity close to it and I see a confirmation entry, it's as good as any other key level. And most times, some school of thought will tell you that the more times a key level has been used, if it's disrespected, it will be used for the opposite move. Or just to be simple, if it has been used before, it's indicating that it's a strong level. And all those zones, they are pricing levels that some of them are psychological levels. Like maybe it's just a number, like 4,100, right? It's a psychological number. So some of those levels can be reused again. If you scroll back, I'm sure you'll see something that is still tapping from it, like here, right? So I don't know. Sometimes you can't really say a key level is fresh. Anyway, so that's a topic for another day, like selecting key levels. There are some criteria for you to pick good key levels. So maybe another day we can look at it. We have 4 minutes more on this call. So if there's any other question, we can quickly take it. This is very interesting. As you can see, like the price action is very similar. This is what pricing levels are. Okay. Let me check the charts. If there's any other thing. Yeah, so that's the only question left. No other question. So we have only 4 minutes left. I don't know if there's okay, someone was speaking.
Good evening. I want to ask a question, please.
Okay, please go ahead.
On gold, where do
Yeah.
you want to sell from? Because I'm seeing 4 hour liquidity here on that most recent breakout. So where do you expect to sell from now?
Yeah, I was telling you
From
that I want the daily high to go.
okay,
I want the
okay.
daily high to go, and then I'm looking for somewhere around here to sell.
Oh, nice.
That's what I'm looking for. But again, I need to watch for reaction. So most likely I'll have something clear on Tuesday. For me, Mondays are manipulation, and literally that's what it is. So this is your accumulation candle. Monday rather would be your manipulation candle. You don't know where it's going to get to, and then you see that Tuesday will expand. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday will expand. Friday will rebalance again to move, give you another move again. So Monday, Fridays, they are not ideal, really you can trade, but if it's at your discretion. So this is what I'll be expecting for me on gold.
All right, thank you.
Yes, my man. Praise.
Yeah. Good evening. I don't know if you can hear me clearly.
I can hear you. 2 minutes we have left on this call. I don't know. Please, someone in the chat, just drop if you want us to do another link for Q&As alone.
Right.
Okay. So, Praise, go ahead.
I just I can you hear me?
I can hear you. Breaking, but I can hear you.
Or should I use the chat box?
If we have 1 minute, 30 seconds.
Okay, I joined your channel.
Okay. If anybody uses Zoom, please, you can just create another link. Please, if anybody uses Zoom, you can create another link and drop it in the comments of the Zoom link that I dropped, so that we can just use yours. It takes a while before I can reuse it. Your line is breaking, Praise, so I can't really hear you. Okay, I think.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, I can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, so we're out of time. If there's anyone that can help me with a Zoom link, otherwise we'll just do it on Telegram, but we can't record it, so we can just do on Telegram. So if we're still good to go on that, you can just join in on Telegram. So let's go to Telegram. I'll just do a quick call there. Thank you all so far for joining. I'm going to call on that Telegram.